Sustainable development. I know, if you're prepping for your IGNOU exams, that phrase might feel a little huge, a little intimidating. But what if I told you we could crack it with just a few simple frameworks? Well, in this explainer, that's exactly what we're going to do. Let's dive in. Feeling a bit overwhelmed by it all? You're definitely not alone. I mean, this topic pulls in economics, sociology, and environmental science. It's a lot to juggle. But hang in there with me, because by the end of this, you're going to have the key concepts, a super clear framework, and even a couple of powerful mnemonics to help you absolutely ace that exam.
So let's start at the very beginning. The most basic, but also the most critical question you're going to face. What exactly is sustainable development? Nailing this definition is the foundation for any great answer. Okay, so here's the classic definition. Sustainable development is all about meeting the needs of today, our economic, social, and environmental needs, without messing things up for future generations. But here's the most important part. You have to meet these needs simultaneously, at the same time. And that makes the whole field interdisciplinary. And trust me, that's a key word examiners love. It just means one subject, like economics, can't solve it all on its own. It's a team sport.
So if it's a team sport, what are the different players on the field? Well, they're famously known as the 3 pillars of sustainable development.
And here we go, your first big tip for when you're sitting in that exam hall. When you need to remember these 3 pillars, just think of the word ESE. Why? Because it's easy to remember. That's economic, social, and environmental. Now let's break down what each of those actually looks like. Okay, let's make this real by looking at these pillars right here in the Indian context. For the economic pillar, think jobs, income, growth. The Make in India initiative is a perfect example of that. For the social pillar, it's all about people, their health, their education, their equality. The National Health Mission fits right in here. And for the environmental pillar, we're talking about protecting our natural world, our air, our water, our forests, famously symbolized by the Chipko movement. The key thing to get, you can't just pick one. They are all interconnected and have to work together.
And this quote just says it all, doesn't it? It perfectly illustrates that interconnection. I mean, think about it. You can have a booming economy, but if it's built on destroying forests and polluting rivers, is that really development? Nope. This quote is a powerful way to show why all 3 pillars have to be held up at the same time.
This leads to a classic exam question. They might ask you, if economic growth is so important, why can't we just use regular old economics to fix things? Why do we need this whole new kind of complicated idea of sustainability?
Well, here's the absolute core difference. The traditional economic view, on the left, basically sees the environment as a big box of resources that's there to fuel the economy. But the sustainable development view on the right, it flips that idea completely upside down. It says, hold on, the economy isn't the boss here. The economy exists inside the environment. This one distinction is so critical for your answer.
And right here, this is the big idea in a single sentence. This is the heart of the ecological approach. If the foundation, the environment, starts to crumble, then everything we've built on top of it, our society and our economy, they're going to crumble too. It's a simple but incredibly powerful concept to include in your exam.
Okay, you ready to level up? To really make your answers stand out from the crowd, you need to show that you understand how nature actually behaves. So let's look at 3 key ecological behaviors that traditional economics just tends to ignore.
And get your pen ready for your next mnemonic, because this one is designed to get you those high marks. To remember these 3 complex behaviors, just remember NIR. How? Well, you don't want your score to go NER 0, right? So NIR, non-linearity, irreversibility, and resilience.
First up, we've got N for non-linearity. It sounds a little technical, but the idea is simple. Change in nature isn't always slow and predictable. You can have these tiny, gradual changes happening for years, and then, bam! The whole system can suddenly flip or collapse. The key words to remember here are sudden and unpredictable. Let me paint a picture for you. Imagine a beautiful, clean lake in a village. For years and years, it absorbs a little bit of pollution here and there, and everything seems totally fine. But then, one day, one final, tiny drop of pollution is added, and the entire lake becomes toxic. Overnight. That's non-linearity in action. A sudden, catastrophic system flip. Next up, I for irreversibility. And this one, well, it's pretty much exactly what it sounds like. We're talking about damage that is permanent. There's no undo button. Even if you stop what's causing the problem, the damage is done. The loss is forever.
And honestly, this is probably the most serious and scary concept in all of ecology. When a species goes extinct, like the potential loss of the incredible Bengal tiger, that's irreversible. When our Himalayan glaciers melt away, that's irreversible. Once they're gone, they are gone for good.
And finally, we have R for resilience. The best way to think about resilience is as an ecosystem's built-in shock absorber. It's the natural ability of a system to take a hit, like a big storm or a long drought, and then bounce back to how it was before.
Take the magnificent Sundarbans, for example. That ecosystem has the resilience to recover from a typical storm. But what happens if climate change starts throwing stronger and more frequent storms at it year after year? Well, the forest's resilience, its shock absorber, gets worn down, and eventually it might not be able to bounce back anymore. It loses its buffer, and it could collapse into something totally different and degraded.
Okay, we have covered a lot of ground, so let's pull all of this together into one final, super helpful slide. Seriously, this is your ultimate revision guide. You might want to pause and grab a screenshot of this one for your notes.
All right, let's do a lightning round. Sustainable development is interdisciplinary. It has three interconnected pillars: ESE, economic, social, environmental. The ecological approach says the economy is a subsystem inside the environment. And the three key behaviors you have to mention are NIR, non-linearity, which causes sudden system flips, irreversibility, which is permanent damage, and resilience, which is the ecosystem's buffer capacity. Get these keywords into your answer, and you are golden.
So there you have it, a really structured way to think about and answer questions on sustainable development. Now, I'm going to leave you with a final thought to chew on. Using this framework, when you look at India today, from water scarcity to air pollution to social inequality, which challenge do you personally think is the most urgent one to tackle using these principles? Think about it. Good luck with your exams.